Hello YouTube and welcome to the Credit Boom. This is Angel and I come to you guys once a week to discuss everything related to credit education. It is my passion and goal to show and teach everyone how credit works. No schools, no universities have ever taught credit. So I'm sharing the struggles that I went through with my credit so you don't have to. Guys, please hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that notification bell. That helps the channel grow and helps me to reach out to a greater audience. Now guys, in today's video, we're going to be discussing how I went from a 504 to an 817 credit score. So approximately in 2008, everything hit rock bottom for me. That year was a really tough time for me and my family. We had repossession. We almost had a foreclosure. We had to do a bankruptcy chapter 13 to prevent that from happening. All of my credit cards were at the limit. My income was decreased substantially. Guys, all this happened when the housing market crashed in 2008. So that year was really tough. I remember arguing with the bank to try to keep the house. We lived in the house and the bank didn't care about me. All they wanted was the house. And in my opinion, they wanted it because I had substantial amount of equity in the property. They wanted to try to get it as fast as they can so they can benefit from the transaction. Luckily, in this country, we have what's called the Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which protects me as a consumer from the house because I lived in the property. It's my primary residence. And I had to file for a bankruptcy Chapter 13. That process allowed me to keep my house and pay the rest of the debt according to the courts in a 5-year period. So in other words, all the credit cards, the car payments, that's when I had the repo, but I was able to keep another car, and all that was in the bankruptcy 13. The courts allocated who gets what, and during that 5-year period, all the money was going to different credit cards and so forth. Now, during that same year, I had my appendix rupture, so I had to go to the emergency room. I didn't have insurance. They took me in. I had the operation done. I had the surgery done. That was all within the same year. So obviously, I didn't have any money to pay for that. That was also another obstacle in that year for me. This is when I started focusing on my credit. I didn't know what credit was. Well, I mean, we knew what credit was, but I didn't understand how it worked. My credit score was always low when I wanted to get something. And it's ironic, we tend to look at our credit score when we want something in life. Either buying a car, buying a house, or getting a credit card. That's when we look at our credit, when we need something. And just like everybody else, when I got that credit card, $2,000 credit limit, $1,000 credit limit, $300 credit limit, whatever the credit limit was, I used that credit card, whether it be groceries or shopping, and I brought those credit cards to the limit. I didn't know any better. I go, hey, wow, I got $3,000, let me use it, Not knowing that alone was affecting 30% of my credit score. Because guys, I didn't know. I didn't know that. Just like everybody else, I would pay my bills, and I'm human. I'm not going to remember everything, and there were times that I forgot to pay a credit card because there was 12 at the time. And when that credit card got a late payment, guess what? It affected 35% of my credit score. I didn't know that. I'm thinking, oh, okay, whatever, I paid late this time, I'll just, I'll pay it in time next month and go from there. And I thought it wasn't a big deal, but no, it is a big deal. That late payment stays on your credit report for 7 years. Again, I didn't know that. Not only that, I remember talking to a representative. I had a credit card. It was Capital One. It was $300 credit limit. Man, those guys, to get a credit limit increase with those guys was just impossible, in my opinion, back in those days. That was my oldest credit card since 1997, 98, and they would never give me a credit line increase. And I don't blame them because all the other credit cards were at the limit. And again, I didn't know. 30% of my credit score was already affected. So I'm asking for a credit limit. Come on, guys, it's only $300 credit limit. Why don't you give me an increase? And they would. Now, they come up with different excuses, but they didn't. and they wouldn't. Obviously, my credit score wasn't where it needed to be because I had all my cards for limit, so they thought I was strapped on cash. In other words, I was depending on credit to make ends meet, which most of us do, and that's what I was doing, to be honest with you, because I didn't know any better. So I got upset with them, and I closed a credit card account. That dropped my credit score 15%. Again, I did not know any better. Credit age is 15%. So my score dropped even further. I was asking myself questions, why my credit score keeps going down and down, and it grabbed my attention. I wanted to learn how credit works. Because guys, at the end of the day, no schools, no universities have ever taught credit, and I always say that in my introduction because it's important, because no one does, no one teaches this, and I started documenting everything because I wanted to learn, I wanted to know, this 3-digit score that we get. Imagine we go to school, or we're in school, and we were given grades. We were given an A, a B, C, D, E, or F, and an F obviously is not good in school. I remember I would get punished from my parents when I didn't bring good grades for my report card when I got home. The credit score, in my opinion, is like either having good grades or bad grades in school for the adults. So if you have a bad credit score, you're doing bad in school. If you have a good credit score, you're doing good in school. So that's my interpretation between credit and having good or bad grades at school. The difference with school is they were giving us the material and we would learn and we get good grades on it. But now with credit, no one taught it. And then in my opinion, if credit was ever taught in schools or universities, everybody would have great credit. And that wouldn't be a good thing for the banks. I think not teaching us credits in school is designed on purpose, because at the end of the day, if we were taught, everybody would have a good credit score, and that would not be great or good for the banks. I started my research. I started going into it. I wanted to know how credit works, and then I would document everything that happened with my life. With the repossession that I had, the bankruptcy 13 that I had. That's when I learned that the late payment was 35% of your credit score. That's so important, guys. And what I did was, we're all human. I'm not going to remember everything, so I put all my credit cards on auto pay. After my bankruptcy was discharged, 5 years after I started it, I was already into 5 years learning credit. Till today, it's 13 years learning about credit. Made a decision September of last year, of 2020, to teach everyone else. And I want to show you guys how I got from a 504 to an 817. And I'm bringing you through the journey because I want you guys to understand that, I had tough times. I had, the bankruptcy, I had the repossession, the medical collection when they had my appendix out. I didn't have any money to pay for that. So guess what? They threw a medical collection on my credit report. And the credit cards. All my credit cards were at the limit, 30% of my credit score. So I've always had bad credit scores. So when I understood how credit worked, now that I am aware of how it works, I started focusing on it. And everything you focus on, guys, it expands. That changed my mindset. I was using credit and made it a part of my life as far as spending was concerned. Now my focus has changed. I utilize credit to leverage credit, to use other people's money. So when I need something, I can get it. No questions asked. And guys, having a good credit score will change your life. I promise you, because it changed for me. Now, I documented everything for the past 13 years on how credit works. So now, I want to share that information with you guys. So you don't have to go through the struggles that I went through 13 years of my life. You guys can get that information immediately and put it into practice. But you got to tell yourself if you really want to make a change in your life. Because you know what? Most of us don't have good credit scores. We don't, because we don't know it. But I promise you, I will teach you, I will show you. You just look at this channel, look at the videos that I throw out there. All that information I throw out there is because I want everybody to grab this information and to put it to practice, to know about credit, so you won't have to go to the struggles that I went through. That's when I learned that payment history was 35% of your credit score. Guys, I put all my credit cards on auto pay. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Talking about payment history, I want to also tell you about what's payment due date and statement date. There's two different dates. there's a statement date and there's a payment due date. Statement date is the date that they're going to release that information onto the credit bureaus. If you pay, and this is just a golden nugget that I'm throwing out there, if you pay the balance off or bring it below 20% or at the 2% is what I recommend, before the statement date, when it reports it to the bureaus, the balance will show whatever it is that you paid at the moment in time. If you pay at the payment due date, because the statement dates usually come out before the due date, it's still going to show your credit card limit it was at the time. So something to think about. Let's say you have a $500 credit limit and you need the $500, max it out. But the goal, guys, the key, guys, is to pay it by the statement date, so when it reports to the bureaus, it doesn't affect 30% of your credit score. That's just something I wanted to throw out there. So, guys, I put my credit cards on auto pay. I never had a late payment again, 35% of my credit score. And then I went over to focus on utilization. And what I did was I did what's called a snowball effect. I paid my lower credit card first, acted like I was still paying for it, and added that amount to the next one up. And I kept paying it to the next one up. And I brought all my balances down to 2%. Okay? Because at the end of the game, you still want to have the credit card active. You want to have movement on there. You want, because nowadays, if you have it inactive for more than 6-7 months, they usually close you down. And you don't want to do that, especially if it's an old card, you haven't used a credit card in a while, they will close it for inactivity. So keep a balance on there. My suggestion, put a subscription on it. Whether it be Netflix, whether it be Apple TV, Disney Plus, whatever you guys want, put a subscription on it. It'll keep the credit card active. Do not go over 20% of your credit limit. Guys, there's so much information. I mean, I don't. This video can go on and on and on and on. There's ways of that I can. It's a totally different subject. How to increase your credit limit on your current credit cards. There is so much information on credit. I can have a video for hours and hours and hours. I gave you an example of the payment history, what I did, and I also gave you an example of my credit card utilization, which was 30% of the credit score, which at this point, if you add the two, you're at 65%. Now, the next one is credit age. It's 15% of the credit score. Like I mentioned before, I closed that credit card, that $300 credit limit, because they refused to give me that limit, and my score went down. I did not know that affected 15% of my credit score. I protect my oldest account, guys. That is so important. The older your credit card account is, the better, because it's important. It's 15% of your credit score. So even if you have a $100 credit limit on a credit card and it happens to be the oldest one, do not close it. It's vital, guys. It's important. I didn't know that. My credit score tanked 15% because I was arguing with a $300 credit limit. 35, 30, 15, that puts you at 80% of your credit score. Now we have the remaining 20. 10% credit inquiries, and the remaining 10% is combination of both. Mixture. You have revolving accounts and installment accounts. Obviously, revolving accounts are credit cards. Installment accounts are personal loans, mortgage, car loans, anything that you pay a month on a consistent basis that's always the same. Revolving, which are credit cards, varies based on the balance that you have. Now, having a mixture of both is very attractive to lenders. They see that you're responsible. So guys, understanding this, having a mixture of both, which is 10% of your credit score, is I didn't know that either. One of the ways that I got my credit score to an 817 was when I was using the snowball effect to pay my credit cards. I wanted to go faster and I couldn't go fast enough. So I got it to a point where half of the credit cards that I had them at the balance where they needed to be, which increased my credit score about 50 points. And then what I did right there is at that point, because remember, when you have all your credit cards at a limit, your score is lower, which is 30% of your credit score. So it's kind of difficult to consolidate that and put it into a personal loan with a reasonable interest rate. Yeah, you can do it, but you're going to get charged 30%, and that's huge. So I got it at the halfway point, and I applied for a personal loan to consolidate the debt on my credit cards. Now, credit cards has the most impact on your credit score. So when you have them all at the limit, it affects your score a lot. In this case, 30%. So what I did was I got all my credit cards and I transferred it to a personal loan. And when I did that, guys, my credit score went up big time because I moved all that debt to an installment account, which the impact on an installment account is not as heavy enough compared to a revolving account. All right, so I moved all this debt to the personal loan. All my credit cards showed very low balances, and as every month time went with the low balances, my credit score went even higher, and I would say in approximately 3 months after doing that transfer, I was in the 730s, 740s, and again, I still owed the debt on the personal loan. It was for 36 months. My credit score went up. During that time frame, I was applying for additional credit cards. I was getting approved. Now, we don't want to apply no more than 2 times in a 6-month period. So in a year, you can apply up to 4 times. I got up to 36 credit card accounts. Not only that, I got on the installment side, I got the mortgage, 2 car loans, and an RV loan. Between 36 credit cards, 4 installment accounts, good mixture, low credit inquiries. I did add and pay for trade lines with significant history and high credit limits, okay? And by doing this, I eventually got to the 800s. And guys, getting to the 800s by following these steps that I've mentioned is not that difficult. Keeping it there is. I show you how to keep your credit score in the 800s and in my credit education course that is coming out October 1st, guys. That course has what I've documented, what I did for my credit in the past 13 years. This credit course has a lot of valuable information. It shows you how to take care of your own credit, steps on what to do to take care of any situation that you may have, and whether it be a bankruptcy, whether it be a foreclosure, credit inquiries, collections, charge-offs, whatever you think about, repos, I have it in the credit course. And it shows you in detail what you got to do, what steps you need to take to take it off. Guys, I briefly have explained in this video how I got from a 504 to an 817. I mean, I can literally talk to you guys for hours and hours and hours because there's so many variables, there's so many items, so many procedures that have to be done, contacting the credit bureaus, contacting the creditors. It's just too much time to have a video on here that if you want to change your life, credit will get you there. Having a credit score of 781 is equivalent of having $100,000 at your disposal. Imagine that. I promise you, my life has changed because I fixed my credit. I had a hard time for the past 13 years figuring out what credit is. My job, my passion, my goal is to show and teach you how credit works, and I will continue to do that because I feel great in helping people. I like to show you value, and I would like to help everyone as much as I can improving their lives. When my credit course comes out on October 1st, again, the first 10, 50% off, guys. Not only that, you will have a one-on-one coaching with me once a month for 6 months. And guys, that's only for the first 10. Now, when this video comes out, which is September 28th, the first 10 that subscribe will get the course at 50% off and one-on-one coaching with me once a month. And what that give you is whatever situation that you have, I will help you and guide you in what direction you can take to take care of your credit. And guys, once you take care of your credit, believe me, your life is going to change. You're going to get that car, that dream car, when you've always wanted. You're going to buy that dream house that you've always wanted. Any credit cards that you want at the time, any loans to go on vacation, whatever you want, it's at your disposal. And again, 781 or more, it's equivalent to having $100,000, and that's, I don't know about you guys, but that's awesome. But not only that, I teach you how to stay responsible. Because I can get your credit score over to 800, but as soon as you're at 800, boom, you're back down again. The key is to keep you within the 800, and that takes a change of mindset. And I will show you and teach you how to do that as well. Guys, I hope I've shown you any value. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Again, I'm here once a week to discuss everything about credit education. Those that want to be subscribed in the credit course that's coming out October 1st, please go ahead and click on the link, put in your information. I will respond to your email if you're one of the ones that got it. And again, I'm only taking 10. All right, guys? That comes with a one-on-one coaching with me once a month for 6 months, and you get the credit course education, which is going to change your life at 50% off. I'm also going to leave my contact number in my email. Those that want to have a 30-minute coaching call with me, don't have the time to teach themselves by buying the credit course to take care of their own credit. You want me to fix your own credit? I also have that service available for you. Click on the link below, and I'll be more than happy to get you routed to the right people to get your credit taken care of as well. Guys, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Can't wait to see you next week. Take care.